The oriental region of Morocco contains a lot of immense areas that are rarely discovered even by its residents. Debdou is one of the most important forgotten areas in this region. This importance belongs to the historical and the touristic capacities that market it. This small mountainous town is located between the south and the northeast of Morocco, 160 kilometers southwest from Oujda and 52 kilometers south from Tauret. It constitutes a green line among a dry land composed from different rocks. This area is known by its hard reliefs, shaped clearly in the high mountains that surround it. Its botanical cover is very diverse. It contains many types of plants, trees and wide herb bushes. Debdou is divided into 4 communities that are the community of Sidi Ali Belqasem, Al-Atf, Jaouad Mohammed, in addition to the community of Debdou town. The settlers of Debdou and the nearby tribes rely essentially on agriculture and sheep herding as the main resources of living. They live a simple life far from the pollution of factories and cars. Many people use it to visit Debdou and they still do it, even they are few. There is no encouragement from the responsibles to make Debdou known by the outsiders. Different on the top of eastern Debdou's mountains and Tifzwin in Lagranza tribe are hardly shaped but still are very attractive areas. Debdou is one of the oldest Moroccan cities. However, it is rarely mentioned in the historical books. Its written history began in the 14th century by the age of Abd al-Haq al-Marini, who gave this region to the community of Bani Wartajan. It is infrequently when you find an Arab historian who spoke about this city. The only historians that were interested in citing Debdou in their books are Al-Hasan al-Wazzan, who lived the period of the 10th century. He wrote his book Description of Africa, Wasfu Afriqa, in which he mentioned the time of Bani Wattas and Bani Marin in Debdou. Also, it was reported by Muhammad ibn Abd al-Rahman al-Qurrasi and al-Nasiri and Ibn Khaldun in his great book The Introduction, Al-Muqaddimah, and Ismaili Mulay Abd al-Hamid al-Alawi. The Jewish population that settled Debdou had taken a part in the process of its history. The Jewish population was largely comprised of Sephardic Jews from Sbih, who arrived to Morocco in 1391 and apparently also in 1492, following their expulsion from Spain. The Jewish community was governed by several influential families who engaged in internecine conflicts and power struggles over communal leadership. The most noted families in the disputes were the Cohen-Scalis, the Morsianos, the Ben Hammous, the Ben Susans, the Benaims, the Hakohins, and the Morales. Debdou was the only area in Morocco where Jews remained the majority of the population, well into the first half of the 20th century. In fact, Debdou was unique in the sense that it was doubtlessly the only Jewish community in Muslim lands where Jews formed the majority. David Cohen-Scali served as the unofficial governor of Debdou between 1895 and 1910. Around the history, this small city was in continual development. This development was related to its central location, which created a crucial connection between all the nearby tribes. This role transformed Debdou to a well-known commercial city as Fez and Safro. Jews dominated almost all the fertile lands and trade. They were always in search for outside markets, so they transacted with Fez millennia, but their business with Algeria remained the most important. Every Thursday there was a weekly market, and there was a good and a peaceful commercial relationship between Muslims and Jews in Debdou. Like other Moroccan communities, Debdou Jewry engaged in craftsmanship and included small-scale merchants, tailors, and weavers. Some, however, were shepherds. It is well known that the Jews constituted an essential commercial elite. They created like banks institutions, from which they entered in transactions with the Debdou's population. Toward the mid-18th century, the community was ravaged by a cholera epidemic, resulting in several deaths and the relocation of 300 families to other parts of Morocco. Thus, the community was reduced from 630 families to 330. Nevertheless, the Jews made up some two-thirds of the total population. Al-Mallah was the place in which Jewish community lived. and develop. The buildings of this quarter were traditional like those of Muslims. It was marked by its narrow streets, made from stones still exist nowadays. Almost all al-Mallah's houses have 2 floors, a big woody door, and a balcony. Al-Mallah contained at that time an interesting number of synagogues, which are 24 synagogues. 23 from it was reserved for the common Jews and 1 for the nobles, Ulad Saban. We can count parts of them as follow. The synagogue of Dribi Shalom Mimoun, the new synagogue, Synagogue Busta, Synagogue Bir Melil, Synagogue Ulad Mshish, Synagogue Dorm. In addition to many other synagogues that preserved the religious rituals brought with the Jews from Spain. Ain Sibilia. It is stated in the south of Al-Mallah, east of the Qadid quarter. Its name is originated from the Spanish city called Sbih. The Jews who came from this city named this source by Sibilia. They claimed that the source was similar to another one in Sbih. The Jews left behind them 2 cemeteries up the hill. One is older than the other. A cement wall surrounds the old one, with its metal gate, and the guardian with the monthly salary comes to him from Israel. The graves are marked by stones, the length and width of a casket. None of the tombstones have engravings. The older cemetery dates back 900 years. It contains several hundred graves date from early 20th century to the mid-1950s. The newer cemetery is further up the hill, also surrounded by a big cement wall, and the inscriptions on several of the tombstones are painted. Others are clearly engraved in cement. Muslim inhabitants reported that groups of Jews visit the cemetery from time to time, either to visit ancestors' graves or to pray. In addition to the 2 cemeteries and Al-Mallah that the Jews left behind them, they brought into being many traditions inherited by the people of Debdou. For instance, delicious kinds of dishes like ruqaq, which is a type of cake still exist until now. It has a strange shape, and it includes many small holes. Like any other region in Morocco, the inhabitants of Debdou have their own way of life. They practice many traditions and rituals. they still believe in temples and visit cemeteries. Many say that Debdou used to be a well-known center of sorcery, but this was related to the existence of Jews in the town. In what concerns Debdou's people clothes, jellaba and razza are used by the majority of the old men. But for women, the most types of clothes that make a distinction between this region and the other regions of Morocco are البلوزة, l'izar, الخلخال, and الحيك with a piece of cloth that covers the face called التام. In this small city, it is rarely when you find a woman without tattoos on her forehead and hands. Many and pleasant kinds of music and dances. Specialized Debdou, for example, Mhari, Lungushi, Lgaita, and the most known is Dvoila. Tborida, for instance, is originated from the veterans returning from the victory of a battle against the categorized, and its name means shooting the powder, but in a peaceful way. These kinds of music are usually used in the local and the national ceremonies,